When we talk about cybersecurity, our minds usually jump straight to things like firewalls, lines of code, and super complex algorithms. But what if I told you the biggest vulnerability, and also the greatest defense, isn't technology at all? Today, we're diving into human cyber resilience, and this idea that every security story has a crucial and frankly often overlooked human chapter.
Just think about it for a second. That rushed click on a suspicious link, that password you've reused maybe one too many times, or that moment of just, misplaced trust in an email. Every single breach story has a human chapter. And look, this isn't about pointing fingers or playing the blame game, not at all. It's about recognizing that at the very heart of every single incident, there's a person, just like you or me, making a decision.
So, here's our game plan. First, we're going to really define what the human chapter means. Then, I'll show you a surprisingly simple formula for building resilience, and we'll unpack its three key ingredients: awareness, behavior, and culture. And finally, we'll see what all this looks like out in the real world.
All right, first up, the human chapter. This is not some story about abstract threats floating around in the ether. No, it's a story of everyday clicks, passwords, and most importantly, people. We're going to shift our focus from seeing this as just a technical problem to seeing it as a huge human opportunity. So what is human cyber resilience, really? Well, it's not about demanding perfection from people. That's a losing game. It's about building the capability in our teams to anticipate threats, resist them, and bounce back fast when something does happen. It's about being able to keep things running smoothly, even when you're under pressure. And this is an outcome you have to build. You can't just buy it off a shelf.
And this right here is the big mental shift. For years, the conversation has been all about human error. But what happens if we just flip that script completely? What if we start seeing people not as the weakest link, but as our best, most adaptive line of defense, as a solution? Asking that one question changes absolutely everything.
Okay, so if humans are the solution, how do we actually build up that resilience? Well, it's not magic. It turns out there's a formula for it, a core equation that can guide us. And here it is, simple, right? But so powerful. It all starts with awareness. That's the knowledge we have in our heads. But knowledge isn't enough. It has to translate into behavior, what we actually do when we're at the keyboard. And the glue that holds it all together? That's culture, the shared beliefs and values of the entire group. When you get these three things working together, that's when you build that incredible shield of resilience. So let's break down that first piece of the puzzle, awareness. Come on, we've all sat through those once-a-year security trainings, right? The ones we just click through as fast as humanly possible to get that check mark. Yeah, that model's completely broken. Awareness that actually sticks is something else entirely.
The old way was like trying to drink from a fire hose once a year. It's just overwhelming, and you don't retain any of it. The new model, it's all about creating a constant stream of small, relevant, and timely nudges. The mantra here is little and often.
And this is what that actually looks like in practice. It's not some big, boring event you have to dread. It's a tiny 2-minute reminder in a Monday morning meeting. It's a helpful tip that just pops up inside the software you're already using. And it's a quick, celebratory email on Friday highlighting a security win. It's just woven right into the fabric of the workweek. So, we've got our first ingredient, awareness. Now let's look at the next piece of our formula, behavior. Because knowing something is one thing, but how do we actually turn that knowledge into consistent action?
This brings us to behavior by design. Now, the secret here isn't trying to force people to have more willpower or to just try harder. It's about designing our systems and processes so that the secured choice is also the easy choice.
This just illustrates the point perfectly. I mean, think about it. If reporting a sketchy email means you have to fill out some crazy 12-field form, nobody's going to do it. They'll just delete it and move on. But if it's a single button right there in your inbox, you've just removed all the friction. The goal is to make doing the right thing feel effortless. And we can give people these simple, memorable little playbooks for those critical moments. For phishing, it's just pause, preview, protect. First, just pause. Don't react immediately. Then, preview the details. Hover over that link, check the sender's real address, and finally, protect yourself and your team by reporting it. Simple, clear, and totally actionable. All right, we have awareness and we have behavior. But what's the glue that makes it all stick? What makes it last? Well, that brings us to the final, and I'd argue most powerful piece of our formula, culture.
Culture is the ultimate force multiplier.
It's that unspoken rule book for how we really do things around here. It's what takes good individual habits and transforms them into this powerful collective defense system. It's the difference between security being seen as a frustrating roadblock and security being seen as how we all succeed safely together.
A truly resilient culture rests on a few key pillars. First, security is seen as an enabler, something that helps the business go faster, not slower. Second, and this is huge, there has to be psychological safety. People have to feel safe enough to report mistakes without fear of blame. And third, it's all built on a genuine partnership, not some us versus them mentality between security and everyone else.
And here's the most crucial part. Culture isn't just some vague feeling or a poster on the wall. It's built through concrete, repeatable actions, rituals. Things like celebrating security wins to show that this stuff really matters. Holding no-blame learning forums after an incident to build trust. These are the actions that make a culture real.
Okay, so we have walked through the entire formula. Awareness plus behavior plus culture. Now, let's see what happens when these three powerful forces actually come together. Let's see what resilience looks like in action.
This is where the theory hits the road. Because you see, resilience isn't just about preventing bad things from happening. It's about empowering good people to make incredible saves. Let me share a few quick save stories that show you exactly what I mean.
Remember that simple one-click report button we talked about? Well, an employee saw something that just felt a little off, they clicked it, and that single tiny action stopped a sophisticated financial fraud attempt dead in its tracks.
Here's another one. A developer working in a culture that genuinely values security uses a simple tool to scan their code. They find and fix a critical bug, preventing a vulnerability that could have affected thousands of customers down the line.
And maybe my favorite one. An employee gets a strange, urgent request. But instead of just blindly complying, they feel psychologically safe enough to just pause and ask a simple question. That one question was enough to unravel a complex social engineering attack that could have been absolutely devastating.
So, we end right back where we began. Every security story has a human chapter. It can be a story of error, sure, or it can be a story of resilience, of courage, and of amazing collaboration. The formula is clear. The opportunity is right there for us. So the only question left is the one on your screen. How will you be part of the human chapter?